Scoodly doodly doo, it's time for another Welch review. Scoodly doodly doo doo. Evening, gang! Welcome to another episode of the Welch Review.
I'm Sam, and this is Stefan. Together we are your hosts.
And we're looking forward to chatting with you about a favorite of both of ours.
It's called Mallrats, baby.
And it was directed by the phenomenal Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
And also in this movie you have Shannon Doherty as Renee. And you might recognize Shannon from 90210. She played Brenda. And Wendy. She was also in the animated movie The Secrets of Nim as Teresa.
You're probably not going to recognize her in that, though.
Oh yeah, because she's most likely a mouse.
An animated
Mouse.
Yeah.
So they look nothing alike. And she was also on the TV show Charmed. She played someone called Prue. Never watched Charmed, but it's about witches. Then you have Jeremy London as T.S. Quint. And this is kind of his only big movie, right? He was in something called Alien Opponent, where him and Roddy Piper, the wrestler, fought aliens in a junkyard.
Nice.
He's also in something called Alien Vampire Busters, which is like Ghostbusters with vampires, maybe?
Oh, okay.
And that has Andy Dick in it, and he's crazy as hell, so who knows what that is.
What a name.
And then he's in a TV show called Dark Rising Warrior of Worlds. I've literally heard of, none of these things, so yeah. I'm guessing he went straight to DVD after this. Then we have Jason Lee as Brody. Now, Jason Lee was a pro skateboarder. He's also found fame recently as a photographer. But he's Dave from Alvin and the Chipmunks. He was in the movie Dreamcatcher. He was also in Chasing Amy. And he's in a movie called Mumford, which is real good. Jason Lee's just a really good actor. It's always good when he turns up and stuff.
Yeah, I like Jason Lee.
And in this movie, he plays Brody. And then you have Claire Forlani as Brandy. And she's from The Medallion with Jackie Chan.
Wait, really?
Yep. And she's also from Meet Joe Black. She plays Susan.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
She's in like two kind of cool things besides this movie.
I know, man. And then I'm pretty sure she was in The Rock, the Michael Bay movie, and she plays Sean Connery's daughter. She has quick 5-minute scene, but it's cool.
Nice.
And then you have Ben Affleck as a guy named Shannon. And Ben Affleck has worked with Kevin Smith a couple times. Jersey Girl, Chasing Amy.
If you don't know who Ben Affleck is, then you're probably not from Massachusetts.
Yeah. He's not that great.
Yeah, I don't like him.
No. He's maybe done 3 things.
And he plays a tool in this movie, and it's accurate. I feel like that's just how he is in real life.
It's true. Then you have Joey Lauren Adams, who plays Gwen. She actually dated Kevin Smith, so that's kind of why she was in these things. I'm sure she's talented, but it was also hey, we're together, you want to be in this?
Yeah.
She was going to be in Dogma, but then they broke up, so he recast her part.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Huh. I like Dogma.
She was in Animal, which is a horror film, Chasing Amy, which is a Kevin Smith movie, and then she was also in Dazed and Confused, which is by Richard Linklater.
Huh.
And then you have Renee Humphrey as Trisha. She was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where she reprised the role as Trisha. And then she was in the movie French Kiss with Meg Ryan and Kevin Kline. She played Lily. Then you have Ethan Suplee as William, and he was in American History X, and he was in the TV show My Name is Earl, which also stars Jason Lee, so they got to work together again.
Dang.
And he was also in Remember the Titans. And then this one's real cool. You have Stan Lee in this movie. This was maybe his first cameo before he was in all the Marvel cameos.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this is when they made Captain Marvel, the Stan Lee cameo, right, when he's on a bus, is him reading the Mallrats script.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
So not only does it reference a point of his own film career, it also solidifies Kevin Smith within the
DCU.
the Marvel
U,
Marvel continuity, right? The cinematic universe.
That's wild.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Even though they talk about, I guess they talk
And if you don't know who Stan Lee is, shame on you. He's the man and arguably he is responsible for all the Marvel heroes on the screen you see today.
Yeah, and he's dead.
Rest in peace, Stan Lee. You also have Jason Mewes as Jay, and he's literally in everything Kevin Smith makes one way or another.
Yeah.
He's even in Tusk.
Yeah.
It's wild. Then Kevin Smith himself is in it as Silent Bob. And he's been in Clerks, which was his own thing, Live Free or Die Hard, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Catch and Release. And, he's a pretty good actor as well as a director, so I thought that was cool. And then you have Sven-Ole Thorsen as LaFleurs. And Sven-Ole Thorsen is actually kind of a badass. He was in Gladiator. He played the Tigress, the guy who has the metal face mask.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And he was also in The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He played a dude named Sven, which is interesting because
that's his name.
Yeah. And he was in Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. He played a dude called Steven. And then he was also with Ben Affleck again in a movie called Sum of All Fears, where he played a guy named Haft, and he was in Lethal Weapon. He played a thug for Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
And then you have Brian O'Halloran as Gil. He was one of the date contestants.
Yeah, I know Gil.
Okay. And Brian O'Halloran was in Clerks, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So basically he's part of that gang. Yeah. And then you have Brian Johnson and Walter Flanagan, who are like friends of Kevin Smith, like from when he was living in Jersey. And they were on his show Comic Book Man.
Okay.
And they run his comic book store. I think it's The Secret Stash, which is still in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then you had Scott Moser as a dude named Roddy. And Scott Moser is a producing partner of Kevin Smith. He produces all of his movies. He also directed the 2018 animated Grinch film with Benedict Cumberbatch. I never saw it.
I didn't know it existed.
I've heard it's okay. And then you have Michael Rooker as Spenning. And he most recently is like the most famous from Guardians of the Galaxy. He plays Yondu. And from The Walking Dead playing Merle.
Yeah, so he plays the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, dang, I never
Mr.
realized
Spenning.
that.
And he's also going to be in the new Suicide Squad as some dude named Javelin. And then this film was written and directed by Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
So kind of full circle there.
Yeah, so the movie opens up with like well, okay, so actually before we get into it, it's a comedy, right? It's a comedy. And it opens up with both of our two male leads being broken up with on separate occasions by their respective girlfriends, right? So Brody gets broken up with by his girlfriend because he's a man-child who, is living at his mom's house. And he's basically, like, afraid to introduce his girlfriend to his mom, so she has to, like, sneak out of his room, like, whenever she sleeps over. And he doesn't really do anything with life. He just plays video games and reads comic books and hangs out. So he's kind of going nowhere fast. Meanwhile, T.S., he's going to college. I think that they just graduated, actually, or something like that. Maybe it's winter break.
No, I think they just graduated.
Yeah, and basically they're going to Florida, where he is planning on proposing to his girlfriend, but the main, like, lady in his girlfriend's dad's game show that's going to be on public access television died doing laps in a pool because T.S. told her that she looked kind of... that the camera puts on 10 pounds. So an embolism pops in her brain and she dies. So T.S.'s girlfriend picks up her position, right? And it's like a love game show, right? So basically, like, it's set up like, I don't know, like a 70s game show where you have 3 contestants and the girl picks one of them that she likes the most.
It's like The Bachelor, but with less high stakes.
Yeah, and like one date. So anyways, that lady dies. T.S.'s girlfriend's like, well, hey, I can't go to Florida. I have to do this for my dad. And T.S. like freaks out about it, and then she breaks up with him. Anyways, our two now single main characters, heroes if you will, meet up, and they decide, where do we go when we have nothing else to do? We go to the mall, hence why it's called the Mallrats. Or not the Mall, just Mallrats. On their journeys in the mall, they find out about this game show that's getting put on. They walk around at the food court. They bump into some random characters like Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, and William.
Which one's William?
The dude who can't see the sailboat.
Oh, yeah. There's a dude, a construction dude who's working on building the stage, and his name is William. And there's a painting, right? It's one of those paintings that like you stare at, and eventually you're supposed to see an image through like trickery of the eyes, but he can't see it. So like there's just like random people walking by who are like, oh look, a sailboat, and he's just freaking out. Like some kids are like, oh look, a scooter, and he's like, that's not a scooter, you idiots, that's a sailboat. And they're like, a scooter is a sailboat, stupid. And he's like, oh yeah? Well, the Easter Bunny isn't real over there. It's just a guy in a suit. Yeah, later on the Easter Bunny, I'm pretty sure, messes him up, but that's a side thing. Anyways, so our main characters go to the mall. Both of their respective girlfriends wind up being at the mall. Brody's girlfriend is now seeing the... Oh, by the way, this is in one day. Is now seeing the dude who runs Fashionable Mail, who is played by Ben Affleck. And this Fashionable Mail dude is kind of like your stereotypical, like, bro jock D-bag, right?
Bro jock D-bag, yeah. Excellent adjective.
Yeah. He's not a good person. Meanwhile, T.S.'s girlfriend is, of course, doing the show. So throughout the film, we basically see how they go through like these weird adventures trying to get back their girlfriends. At that same time, you have some side plots going on. For example, they commission Jay and Silent Bob to destroy the stage, and in doing so, they have to take down LaFleurs, who's the baddest mall cop on the force. He's got 3 confirmed kills, and that's just when he's on duty. We have no idea how many he has off duty. So one of the ways they try to take down LaFleurs is by beating him over the head with a sack of quarters. Doesn't go well. Another time they try to Batman in to like pull a pin to Death Star the stage, right? It has like one weakness that they're going to try to remove. That doesn't go so well. Basically, they don't really do a good job of fighting LaFleurs. Yeah, LaFleur is a pretty bad mother, you know what I'm saying?
He is, but he's just, like, that whole side plot with Jay and Silent Bob is just fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, whenever they cut to those guys, it's just a good time. You're like, oh, I can't wait for them to pop up again. And, like, you never know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, there's one scene. So Jay and Silent Bob, if you aren't familiar with the show, are drug dealers. They're drug dealers. So there's one scene where William...
Cannabis consultants.
Cannabis consultants, that's right. Where William is staring at this picture, trying to see the sailboat, and Jay walks up behind him and he's like, hey, fat man, you know what you need? You need a fatty boom batty blunt. And I'm sure you would see a sailboat, some mermaids. Yeah, it's just like a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just really great.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, all of the humor is like kind of very over the top, but it all ties into each other. It's very entertaining. I don't want to give away much more than the fact that like the movie's about them trying to get back their girlfriends, and like the weird adventures that it takes them on, because that's kind of like the meat and potatoes, right? And all the twists and turns is what makes the movie fun. So check it out. It's fantastic. We're gonna get into a little bit more about like the actors and some of the nitty gritty, rather than the plot, though. So overall, Steph, is there anybody who you think is like a big like standout? Like, who's your favorite character?
Oh, I know it seems like it focuses on both of them. I think the story in some cases seems to focus more on T.S., right? Yeah. Jeremy London's character and like, you know, that whole thing. But I really think Jason Lee steals the show.
Yeah, he does.
Like, just in every scene he's in, he's just like so much wittier and sharper, and he just seems real.
Yeah.
You know, like he feels like a friend that you have or you hope to have.
Yeah.
You know, and he owns it.
Yeah, so T.S. very much plays like the straight man, whereas Brody is like the everyman, right? Like he's kind of like, he's a little bit more relatable, a little bit more human, and he's a wise ass. So T.S. always kind of came off to me as kind of like a traditional like stage actor, like kind of Shakespearean. Like all of his speeches seem like very planned out and like long-winded, whereas Brody's like talking out of his ass half the time. And he even comments in the movie that he's talking out of his ass half the time.
No, I think that's perfectly said, because it seems like whenever T.S. talks about things, it's like, monologues about, like love and a relationship, which is fine, but I think everyone knows someone, or when they start doing that, you're just like, okay, we get it, you're a romantic, that's cool, there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, he beats a dead horse.
Yeah, and I think that part of the movie, like, part of the point of T.S.'s character is for, like, the stark contrast, right? The fact that Brody and T.S. are so different really highlights the humor that Brody brings to it. And honestly, it makes T.S. not a very enjoyable character.
Yeah.
Like, he's not that he does a bad job acting.
No. But
he's kind of obvious and overblown and direct. Whereas Brody, again, comes off as very natural.
Well, I think, though, right, like, for Brody to be him, like, I think Jason Lee could have done it, do well regardless, but I think he needs T.S. to kind of be that.
Yeah.
So he can then, like, be like...
kind of pick it, because he picks apart T.S.'s character all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and then if you see Jason Mewes in other movies...
Jason Lee,
God, not Jason.
Jason Mewes is Jay.
Yeah, I know. If you see Jason Lee in other movies, even other movies directed by the same director, for example, Chasing Amy, his character is like completely different, right? I've never seen a movie with Jason Lee where he has that same kind of like wit and charm to him that he has in Mallrats, and I think a lot of that, like you were saying, is because T.S. is there to give him like kind of like a sounding board, right? Mm-hmm. Something to like bounce off of. And to pick apart. So yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Again, also with Jason Lee, I think, like, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, they're not the main focal point of the film, but, like, whenever they're on camera, they're memorable.
Yeah, like, their humor, like, and it's kind of, like, a contrasty to, not to just try to look for contrast, but their humor is kind of more slapstick, which isn't bad. Like they do it well.
Yeah.
But it is different from how Brody and T.S.'s humor works, where it's more like verbal and social, right? But because like Silent Bob can't talk, anytime there's humor with Silent Bob, it has to be displayed physically, right? So the movie does have like a little bit of everything as far as humor goes.
And I wouldn't say like this isn't an original comment by any means, but I've listened to a variety of interviews and such, and like Kevin Smith obviously pays homage a lot to Star Wars.
Yes.
Or like Star Wars and comic books, right? Like realistically, his whole films, right? Like Clerks 2, Mallrats, all of those movies are within the same universe, right? So he started this whole kind of thing before, like, Marvel got into their faces or things of that nature. But in Star Wars, though, it pays homage to, like, that, right? You have these characters, then the next one picks up with them doing something in some capacity and so on and so forth. And in that way, I think one of the coolest things he said was, Jay and Silent Bob are like C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah, they take you through the story always.
They take you through the story always, right? And then there's cutscenes that focus on them while the bigger picture's at play. And I think, there's always some line that Jason Mewes drops that, like, sticks with you. Like you said, when, like, he talks to William about the photo, and it's just like, or when, like, he's fly! Like that. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And you root for those guys because they're great, and they're good support. And
they're weirdos.
They are weirdos, but like again, they're like they seem real. Like you've definitely seen like cats like this before.
And on that same idea of weirdos. Like this movie, I know a lot of this dude's movies are like that, but Mallrats in particular really highlights the fact that it's a movie about championing weirdos, right?
Yeah.
Like, Brody is a man-child. T.S. is arguably a functioning adult, but everybody else is, like, strange, right? William, again, is staring at a photo the whole time. Two of our other main characters are drug dealers who are addicted to comic books and Star Wars, and they try to play them out in real life. They go to a flea market because they're being chased by LaFleurs at one point, and they you know, very directly say, like, hey, this is the dirt mall. Nobody goes here. And then Brody's like, hey, don't talk bad about my people. You know what I mean? Like, and these are the people that get highlighted in the film. You know, they're very intentionally showing, like, people aren't like these prim and proper perfect things that movies always portray. And, like, again, I don't think that that's the focus of the movie, but that's what they choose to display the entire time, right?
Yeah.
The only other dude who's on, like, the dating stand, eventually when they get to that period, is it's Gil.
Brian O'Halloran.
And he's a weird-looking dude. Gil's strange. And they mess with Gil a lot.
It's so good.
Yeah, like, the movie, for one, draws a lot of its humor from just having strange characters. And honestly, if you go to a mall, you're gonna see a lot of strange characters. Yeah. Like the other day, I was at the mall. I saw a dude with a ponytail and a crop top, but, like, you know, it wasn't like a guy who was, like, trans or anything. It was just a dude who was like, ponytails and crop tops. This is me, man.
Yeah.
But he also had a beard, and he was like a 50-year-old guy. But, you know, like,
hey, man,
there's
YOLO.
Yeah, there's weird people at the mall.
People at the mall.
And they did not shy away from that, you know? The one dude who's, like, arguably, like, supposed to be, like, the attractive, like, pinnacle of maleness, they made the bad guy.
Yes.
You know? Everybody who represents, like, what people are supposed to be like or look like, or, you know, what movies typically throw at you, are the bad guys. You know, they aren't the heroes. So, yeah, this movie is a movie about weirdos and underdogs.
It was definitely ahead of its time, right? Like, cause, and I think that comes to it because Mallrats for a while was not considered successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's become an underappreciated gem, and I think it's ideally finding its feet now. You know what I mean? Like, they just re-released it on DVD. I think Arrow re-released it.
Huh.
You know? But, like, yeah, it's underappreciated, but it's glorious because I think it now focuses, like, now what they're focusing on, like, showcasing is cool, has become cool. Right?
Yeah,
like
culture.
Like, it's become embraced and, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's interesting, like, seeing how, like, where people were picked on for it, now it's being, like, fully accepted. Yeah. You know, where it's like, yo, that's awesome. You know, and it's like, these are the guys who have been ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
You know? So I think everything you just said was beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, but the other thing when you watch it, it just seems like they had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah, it's like a real quirky, goofy movie with a lot of, like, weird comedy tangents. Like, there's one scene where there's a kid on an escalator and they just, like, get rip-roaring mad over the fact that his parents are not supervising him on the escalator, and it takes up, like, a solid 4 minutes of the film. And I've never seen another movie spend so long talking about escalators, but they do it in a very fun way that if you know what I'm talking about, you've appreciated it in the past. So yeah, I don't know. Mallrats is a great movie if you're kind of weird and not, like, a status quo person like myself. Check it out. It's a great time. It's probably one of my favorite comedies of all time. Can't suggest it enough.
Oh, also, they're doing a sequel.
Mallrats is
finally, yeah, it's called a Twilight of the Mallrats. So it's nice to see, like, Kevin Smith keep rolling with this, right? Coming back to this thing.
I don't know, man. Like I like Kevin Smith, but his most recent films have been a little like the new Jay and Silent Bob movie was a little iffy.
Yeah, it's fair. Tusk was amazing.
Tusk was amazing.
Tusk was amazing.
For all the wrong reasons.
It's still amazing.
If you haven't seen Tusk, watch that too.
You know what? Actually, you just stay tuned, and I'm sure that will be on our list as we keep this train rolling.
Yeah, man.
But until then, this has been the Welch Review. Pick up Mallrats. Maybe spend some time in your local mall. You know, enjoy it.
Yeah, dude. It's a pandemic. People are getting back on their feet. Help them out.
Until next time.
Yeah, bye-bye.